So here we are with Steve Nallon, and he's probably famous for Spitting Image. So let's dive straight in.
Straight in.
Because I think that's the best thing.
Oh, goodness me. Let's not only dive straight in, but let us bring back Margaret Thatcher. People are cheering all over the hospital now. It's one of the few I didn't close. Did you know that?
I do, yeah, because we're here now.
You're here now.
Yeah, totally. So, Steve, how did it all start for you, getting involved in Spitting Image with all the puppetry, all the voices? I mean, when did you first discover that you could do these voices?
Well, that was when I was a teenager. But
Right.
Spitting Image was interesting because when I met John Lloyd, who was the producer, John had done Not the 9 O'Clock News. He'd also done the very first series of Blackadder. And he agreed to meet me as a joke because he said, this idiot 22-year-old said he can do Margaret Thatcher. I'm going to meet him as a joke. It'll be a good story to tell in the bar later. And he honestly said that's what he was.
Yeah.
So when we met, and he was a bit embarrassed about it because I'd got into the building at Central Television in Birmingham.
Course, yes.
I'd managed to worm my way into the building. Anyway, to cut a long story short, he said, "Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to do?" I said, "I'm not going to audition. I've got no speech to do." I said, "Why don't you ask me a question and I'll answer it as Margaret Thatcher?"
Brilliant.
So I can't remember what the question was. Just, what about unemployment? Let me just say this about unemployment. You've asked the question. I want to answer it. And then slightly after that, Roger Law came in, the creator of the Puppets with Peter Flock, and Roger Law didn't know who I was. And John said, Roger said, "Who's this? Who's this? I don't know who this person is." And John said, "Oh, this young man can do Mrs. Thatcher." And Roger said, "Well, go on then." And I just turned to Roger and said, "I do not take orders from men." And he burst out laughing. And I think that was the moment when it happened.
When they realised there was
something potential there. And more importantly, with Roger, lovely guy that he is, you needed him to like you to stay on the show. And we've stayed friends ever since, and we're still in contact with each other.
So when you, I mean, how many voices did you actually do? Did you do?
I can't remember. Chris Barry did far more than I did.
Oh, did he?
But,
right, okay.
But I did. I'd go through them. There was, of course, the Prime Minister at the time, Roy Hattersley, who was deputy leader of the Labour Party at the time. Later on, we did the lovely Alan Bennett. I quite like doing him. Oh, and the Queen Mother, I did as Beryl Reid.
Oh.
And I did Kenneth Williams as well. Yes, I did him a few times. Chris also did Kenneth Williams as well.
Yeah.
Who else did I do in that? Oh, yeah. Robert Ramsay, who was the Archbishop of Canterbury. Later on, they brought back Rigsby from Rising Damned. They had him, so I did him. I think I did Brian Clough at one stage as well. So I did the Pope. I did the Polish. It is important to realise. So I did the Polish Pope. But and it was a bit weird when Mrs. Thatcher left Parliament when she left office because I was demoted to Transport Secretary. Doing Michael Rifkin and the way he used to speak. He later became Foreign Secretary, but I think he was the Transport Secretary at the time. So I went from Prime Minister to Transport or something.
So you said you discovered you could do these voices when you was young.
When I was young,
but how did that come about?
Well,
did you just sit in your room one day?
No, it was working. It was watching the Mike Yarwood show.
Ah, right.
And Mike...
So he was famous for his impressions anyway.
What I loved about Mike, and this is never properly appreciated, he took people who weren't funny and made them funny. He didn't just copy actors and performers and comedians. So yes, he probably did Tommy Cooper. Everybody did Tommy Cooper. Everybody does him. And Frankie Howard. But what he did was brilliant. It was to keep people who weren't funny, particularly in the world of sport, and make them funny. So anyway, as a kid, when I was about 13 or 14, we would come in on the Monday morning. Mike's show was on the Friday or the Saturday. We'd come in, and everybody would start impersonating Brian Clough. Now you'll have to explain this, but I'm now going to hold my nose. And this guy, one of the kids came in and said, "If you hold your nose, you can do Brian Clough." I'm now taking the fingers off my nose.
But you can
And
hear that.
I said,
Yeah.
well, it's interesting because I can do Brian Clough without holding my nose. He said, how did you do that? I said, I don't know. But I can do it. And all you're doing is micromanaging the way your throat is.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
It's all micromanaging.
Yeah.
But that's when I realised I could do it. And of course, then everybody got me to do Brian Clough. And I never became the school clown, but I was able to impersonate teachers and all that sort of stuff.
So obviously, Spin Image was on TV for how many years? Was it?
It went to 96. I left in 94.
So was you there in the early start?
Very early days.
In the 80s?
Yes, I was in the very first show.
Oh,
in fact,
was?
I was in the very first sketch.
Oh, wow.
And I was also in the last episode.
Oh, wow.
They invited me back.
So
for the last episode.
I've got to ask you this question. Was you a part of the Chicken Song?
Yes,
you was. Brilliant.
Yes and no. I'm part of the mega mix.
Yes,
that got released as a vinyl extent.
I'd ask that.
But I am on that somewhere. I'm not quite. I think right in the background. And that was a joy because it's my loss, but I've no interest in pop music particularly. But we were number one on Top of the Pops, and that's one thing I never anticipated in my life. That I'd ever be on Top of the Pops with a number one single. Yeah. I didn't sing in it; that was somebody else.
No, of course.
But I'm somewhere in the background in the mega mix version.
Yeah. So did you after Spit Image obviously ended, and that was it? It was done, dusted. Yeah. What did you do? Because obviously, did you carry on?
I learned as me and Chris Barry and I. He went on to Red Dwarf, but I went. I learned. Both of us learned to be puppeteers because they wanted to do the voices live. They changed their mind on that, and eventually they did the voices separately to the puppets. But I learned, Keith Lascelles, who worked on the show as a floor manager, he said, well, we've taught you a trade, because I learned to be a puppeteer, which is a very technically difficult job to do.
Of course, yeah.
And so when that came to an end, I think people felt sorry for me because I was no longer on television, except I was on television 2 or 3 times a week, but in children's television.
Yes.
So I did The House of Gristle. I did a series called Crazy Cottage. I did a hugely long BBC education called Cat's Eyes.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember Cat's Eyes?
Yeah,
I was one of the cats. I was Jimmy.
Oh, no way.
Well, you will and watched it at home. If you had a day off and you watched it at home.
Yeah, that's when you...
So I was Jimmy the cat.
Oh, wow.
I was on television all the time, but not... and I sort of realised that was probably suited me psychologically better than becoming a big name and being famous, which I think we all wanted to be famous, but I saw the downside of it.
Yes.
And so I thought, actually, this is a good idea. Just, working in television and working with nice people and doing good shows, but not having the people stopping you in the street.
How did you think of the new series of Spin Image when it returned? Did you do it?
I did one. I did. They invited me back.
Did you think it was any good? I mean,
I think this is. John Lloyd and I, we had slightly separate views on this, but I think we both shared the view that the sketches were too long. The great thing about the first series of Spitting Image, the original series, classic, they call it classic Spitting Image now, was that the sketches, John would come in with a pencil and cross out all the words you didn't need.
Yep.
And what happened, I think, in the new one was nobody came in with a pencil to cross out the words. And some of the sketches were going for 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You can't do... comedy depends on... sketch comedy depends on speed. If one sketch isn't funny, you move on to the next one. And that's the most important.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Just keep it pacey, keep it going.
Yeah, I thought the same. Yeah, I think...
They're too long.
Didn't they do 2 series of that as well?
They did 2 series.
I felt the second series was a little bit... I could see it was wearing a little bit. It didn't seem right by that point. It seemed like it lost its...
The other thing which I'm not... I knew the people involved and they told me things I can't talk about. But there was a general sense that the American producer that they had, just didn't get it.
No, and that's a lot of the problem. A lot of the time with a lot of things,
they call them showrunners now.
Yeah.
But John Lloyd, he turned the show around in the late 80s. It wasn't a big success at first. It took a long while to become a success.
and
Yeah.
and John brought in Grant and Naylor, Bob Grant
Yeah,
and
of
Doug
course,
Naylor.
yes. They're for Red Dwarf, aren't they?
Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
Went on to work with Chris in Red Dwarf. But the thing is, they brought in characters like Barry Norman and the footballers.
Yeah.
So they brought in a popular appeal. So they got rid of the politicians, not rid of, but not every sketch had a politician in, and they got rid of a load of sketches. It was interesting working in that era because I would come in and say, "Where's Tony?" "Oh, he's gone. No, he's left the show." He was one of the producers. "Yeah, he's gone." So there's blood on the carpet. You saw, and people wouldn't be invited back. And people voice over. So I saw that, and I somehow survived.
Well done.
Survived.
Well done.
I know,
So what are you doing now with yourself?
Well, I now write.
I've seen the books.
You've seen the books.
But for people that are listening, they need to know.
I do ghost stories. I'm writing.
Oh, wow.
I think ghost stories are interesting because you can make them funny, you make them scary, you can make them a morality tale, you can make them moving, and so. We had a queue of people wanting to buy the book. It's called Steve Nallon's Ghost Stories, very original, but it's called Steve Nallon's Ghost Stories.
But it gets to the point, and it tells you what it is.
It does what it says on the tin. And luckily, a guy here today had bought the book 6 months ago, and he was telling everybody in the queue how good it was. So,
wonderful.
So I was quite pleased about that.
And people can buy this.
It's on Amazon. You can also get
Wonderful.
it via Waterstones. Steve Nallon's Ghost Stories.
Are you going to write more? Is that the plan?
I'm hoping to. It took me 5 years to write those.
Oh, wow.
I've got 2 novels as well, so I was writing 2 novels. They're called The Time That Never Was and The Time They Saved Tomorrow. So those are young adult fiction novels.
Wonderful.
And I've also written a book with Dick Fiddy, the BFI, on.
Oh, wonderful.
It's called Destination Time Travel, and that is about time travel in film and television.
Right. Oh, okay.
So it's been.
So is that forthcoming? Is that coming soon?
No, that's out now.
That is out now, is it?
That's
Wonderful.
And so I pretty much got exhausted.
You've been busy, haven't you?
I've been busy, and I also write for a magazine called Classic Monsters,
right.
Which is.
Yeah, well, look, it's been great speaking to you.
Pleasure.
It really has. And you've done so many great things. I mean, everyone I know that loves Spitting Image, and, it's iconic. Everyone knows the characters, everyone knows the puppets, but who knew you was the voice behind it? And that's brilliant. Is there one character you really like doing, and could you do it for us?
Well, I'll tell you, she wasn't on Spitting Image, but it's my favourite character voice to do. And I hope your listeners know.
"Oh, it is Joan Hickson as Miss Marple. Oh, goodness me, Chief Inspector. Oh, how foolish I was. It was in the sherry, you see, the cyanide that killed the vicar. Oh, well, at least we've caught the killer now, haven't we?"
That should have been on the programme. Thanks very much, Steve.
Pleasure.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.